Let's say China.
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 China. China.
There are no storm movers, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump statement, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes. Hello, and welcome. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if, like me, today, you are a little bit confused. It's Thursday, the 7th of September 2017, and today the Education Secretary, Betsy DeVoe, made a statement on new guidance for campus sexual assault. And on first listen, I thought to myself, am I agreeing with this lady for once? Is this something I'm agreeing on? Then I listened to it a second time, and I'm not entirely sure it's
Here's
right.
what I've learned. The truth is that the system established by the prior administration has failed too many students. Survivors, victims of a lack of due process, and campus administrators have all told me that the current approach does a disservice to everyone involved. The current failed system left one student to fend for herself at a university disciplinary hearing. She told her university that another student sexually assaulted her in her dorm room. In turn, her university told her she would have to prosecute the case herself. Without any legal training whatsoever, she had to prepare an opening statement, fix exhibits, and find witnesses. I don't think it's the rape that makes a person a victim, she told reporters. She said it's the failure of the system that turns a survivor into a victim. In order to ensure that America's schools employ clear, equitable, just, and fair procedures that inspire trust and confidence, we will launch a transparent notice and comment process to incorporate the insights of all parties in developing a better way. We will seek public feedback and combine institutional knowledge, professional expertise, and the experiences of students to replace the current approach with a workable, effective, and fair system. To implement sustainable solutions, institutions must be mindful of the rights of every student. No one benefits from a system that does not have the public's trust. Not survivors, not accused students, and not institutions, nor the public.
Okay, so if that was your first listen to what Betsy DeVoe said, you might be sitting there going, okay, so she wants to make it so that people who have been sexually abused on campus have a better shot of getting legal representation, right? That sounds great. But then, if you dig just a little bit deeper into what she said, it gets a little bit more confusing and a little bit more sinister. She mentioned there a couple of times both sides, which seems to be a favorite phrase of the Trump administration recently. Charlottesville, there were good people on both sides. There were bad people on both sides. This seems like Betsy DeVoe is trying to do the same thing. She's saying, yeah, we have to look after the survivors, yes, but we also have to make sure that anybody accused gets a fair shot as well. And so this announcement has drawn a lot of criticism for groups that advocate for survivors. They fear that any impending changes made could potentially roll back the key gains which were made by the Obama administration to prioritize combating sexual assault. Alexander Brodsky, who is a legal fellow at NWLC, she said that DeVoe made false equivalencies between the experiences of survivors and the experience of accused students, and that she misrepresented Obama-era guidance. And then this is the very telling part to me. Advocates who have argued that the accused do not always receive fair investigations under the previous administration's guidance welcomed DeVoe's new approach. They like the idea that there are two equal sides in this. And let me say this right now, for the record, in case you don't know this. I'm sure you know this. When somebody accuses somebody else of sexual assault, there are not two sides. There is the person who has been abused, and there is the abuser, who is a prick. Now, I believe that everybody should have their day in court. But unfortunately, in this world, when a lady says that she has been sexually abused, the common thing is to say, well, are you sure? Are you sure it wasn't just kind of a tweak on the old bum? Are you sure it wasn't just a bit of a, hey, darling, how you doing? Tweak your bum. And that is where the Obama administration guidance changed things. It said, no, look, if somebody accuses somebody of sexual assault, we have to take that very, very seriously. And in some ways, and perhaps rightly so, in my mind, maybe not, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think if you accuse somebody of raping you, then the person who has been accused, you're dog shit. And you have to prove that you did not rape that person. I know, innocent until proven guilty, I get all that, I do. But with things like this, it's very hard for a woman to come forward who has been raped. If she has the bravery to do that, then we have to take it very seriously. And 99% of the time, she's telling the truth. Because this isn't something you just kind of come out and say, yeah, I was at a party the other night, went out for brunch, then we had lunch, then I got raped, then I went to dinner. That was nice. Because that's not how this happens, is it? If a woman has been sexually abused, it is incredibly difficult to come forward and say that it happened. So when a lady says that, she's probably telling the truth. And so these new regulations that Betsy DeVoe wants to put in place, we have to be very careful and make sure that they don't give too much to the accused. I do actually find it quite funny because if you remember, during the run-up to the election, Donald Trump was accused of sexually assaulting a number of women. And he sort of said, you're lying, you're fucking lying, you're full of shit, you crazy ladies, I didn't touch you, I wouldn't touch you, look at you, Jesus Christ, I'd get some disease, you're disgusting, I wouldn't put my dick anywhere near you, liar, liar, pants on fire. And that is sort of the attitude that's adopted in many campuses, is what Donald Trump portrayed. So I find it quite funny that Betsy DeVoe is coming out today saying, we have to take everything very seriously. But there are two sides. Because in the back of her mind, she's thinking, Jesus, if I say, the person that's being accused is a dick, then I'm saying my president's a dick. I've got to be careful, got to be very careful. No, there are two sides, and we need to hear both sides of the argument. And speaking of two sides of the argument, the Houston pastor, Joel Osteen, is still trying to defend himself for not opening the doors to his church. He's now sort of backed up on that and said, no, they were always open. They were never closed, which just simply isn't true. Anyway, he's been telling people in the church, in a sermon he delivered on Sunday, that they need to not have a poor old me mentality. The exact quote is, we are not going to understand everything that happens, but, having a poor old me mentality, or a look what I lost, or why did this happen, that's just going to pull you down. Like we've been talking about all night. You just got to turn it over and say, God, you're still on the throne. And while the sentiment might be fine, Joel, the problem is most of the people in your church on Sunday were victims of Harvey and have lost their homes, possibly their jobs now, pretty much everything they own. And for you to sit there in your gilded mansion and say, hey, don't be poor old me, just get on with it, everything's going to be fine. Well, the problem is, Joel, everything is not going to be fine. And, okay, I'll go out there and say it. You can pray as much as you want. It's not going to give you your shit back. So let these people have a little bit of time of grieving and let them say, fuck, I've lost everything, this is fucked up, this is unfair, because guess what? It is fucked up and it is unfair. So telling them to say, oh, don't feel sorry for yourself. With your $10,000 Rolex on your wrist, it's very easy to say that. If you've lost everything you own, it's a little difficult to feel that way. So sit down and shut up. Go with wherever Eric Trump is. Fuck off with him. And you'll remember at the very beginning of the episode, I said I was confused. And here is where my confusion comes from today. Yesterday, Donald Trump, in a hugely unexpected and bizarre moment, sided with the Democrats. And you have to think that this rift that's been brewing between Donald Trump and the Republican Party yesterday just blew wide open when he sided with the Democrats on the matter of Hurricane Harvey relief legislation. Now, the House Republicans in the Senate had hoped to tie the emergency funding to an extension of the debt limit for more than a year, and that would take away a key bit of Democratic leverage until after the 2018 midterm elections. The Democrats came back and said, no, we'll give you 3 months. That's all we're going to do, 3 months. The Republican senators then came back and said, okay, we can do 6 months. 6 months, and that's as low as we can go. The Democrats held fast and said, nope, 3 months is all you're getting. Donald Trump turned to them and said, you know what, you've got a deal. 3 months, let's get this done. And so Republicans are just going, what the fuck just happened? Did the president just side with the Democrats? What's going on? And there's this great photograph, if you can find it. I'm looking at it right now, and it's through the window of the Oval Office. And it's Chuck Schumer and Donald Trump. And it looks like they're either about to make out or kill each other. I can't tell, because both those men, they're not great at showing, lovey emotions. So they look like they're either going to have a fight or make out. I can't tell which. But they are touching each other with, Donald Trump's got both arms on Chuck and Chuck's got both arms on Donald. And if there was candles, it would be quite romantic, I think. I mean, except for the expressions on their faces, which is ridiculous. But Republicans are fuming over this. The Senator Ben Sasse, he's a Republican from Nebraska, he said that the Pelosi-Schumer-Trump deal is bad. Thorne Tillis, who's the Republican senator for North Carolina, said it's possible that the Democrats got the upper hand in negotiation with the president. You think? Other Republicans didn't necessarily want to put their name to it, but through their aides and to the media, they said some pretty harsh things about Donald Trump. One Republican aide told the paper that the President of the United States just handed a loaded gun to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Another Republican told the media that the president's move was like giving, and I quote, an entire stockpile of weapons to Democrats and inviting them to take the entire Republican Party hostage, end quote. And it's funny, the Republicans, they're obsessed with guns, aren't they? You've given a loaded gun to Nancy Pelosi. You've given the entire stockpile of weapons to the Democrats. I'm sort of waiting for Paul Ryan to come out and say, you've given a goddamn fucking nuclear weapon to the Democrats and they're gonna level Washington. What have you done, Donnie? What have you done? Of course, he would have to grow a spine before he could do that, so it's unlikely we'll see Paul Ryan say anything like that in the near future. And already, out of the White House, rumours are spreading about why Donald Trump did this. And when I say rumours, these are things that are deliberately leaked to the press so that we know about them. The first one is that this snap decision shows how frustrated Donald Trump is with McConnell and Ryan. And already he's alienated those two from his base. They already think they're bad guys who are against Donald Trump. So they may let that one slide, and other White House aides have suggested that this was a strategic maneuver, that Mr. Trump was clearing the decks for tax reform, that he wanted to be able to negotiate with Congress free from the spectre of a government shutdown or debt default. And while the president did give the Democrats a win today, it's unlikely that most people will even notice it. If you turn on CNN, Fox, NBC, MSNBC right now, the news is completely overtaken by Hurricane Irma coming in. So Donald Trump doing this, it's going to sort of slip under the radar a little bit. And I suspect the plan is that now Donald Trump can say, okay, Democrats, I gave you a win, now you've got to work with me a little bit. And I have to say, I suspect that will not happen. Anyway, we are out of time for today. It's been a great conversation, as always. If you're down in Florida, I suggest that you keep an eye on the news, watch the weather reports, and if you need to get out of Florida, get out. You can come and stay with me. I'm not going to give you my address, but if you can find me, you are more than welcome to stay with me. Anyway, we'll do this again tomorrow. Take care, good night, have fun.